What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. On today's episode, we'll be breaking down the Eastern Conference standings, how things are shaking out and look to affect the Bulls heading into the postseason. We'll also be talking about the Bulls' upcoming game against the New York Knicks. We'll be touching on that and a little bit more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans. So first up, the wild East is what we're going to talk about first, and we'll be going over the things there. It's just crazy how things are shaking out. So as of right now, it's been updated. The Bulls' first round opponent, as of right now, if the playoffs were to start, would be the Philadelphia 76ers. Now we know the Bulls have not matched up well against the Philadelphia 76ers at all this season. Now it's been a couple of days ago, it was the Bucks. We'll see if it changes again. The Eastern Conference standings right now are one of the most interesting things to just monitor. You guys, I told you guys I'll be covering the standings and doing the standings watch as we get closer to the end of the season. And this is why. This is just crazy. The Boston Celtics are now the number one team in the Eastern Conference after being number 4 just a handful of days ago. And so the matchups in the East can drastically change over this last week and a half, 2 weeks of the season for us to really know who we're going to face in the Eastern Conference title. Now, we know that the Bulls are in the middle of a stretch against very winnable games before they gear up for all playoff teams to end the season. And we'll see how the standings end up shaking out when it is all said and done. But right now, the Eastern Conference Finals are a very, very interesting place. So we're going to leave the 1 and 2 seed out of this, which are Boston and Miami Heat, just because their opponent will be determined by the play-in, which the Brooklyn Nets have now dropped to number 9th, which means that all it takes is one game for them to lose to be bounced out of the playoffs at all in that play-in tournament. We'll see how that shakes out down the ways too. But we're going to start off this conversation with the Eastern Conference standings with number 3 because it gets interesting there. So the Milwaukee Bucks sit right now at number 3. And it's interesting because they would face the Toronto Raptors, who are the 6th seed right now. The Raptors, who are 3-0 against the Milwaukee Bucks this season. While the Raptors don't have the best record, right? They aren't flirting with being the number 1 team in the East, but they have a winning record against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they match up pretty well against them. Now, there's been some speculation on teams trying to, flub the numbers and maybe drop a little bit to get a favorable matchup. But with things being so close, you really can't gauge on that. It's just a really interesting thing in the Sixers and the Bulls, who would be the first round matchup against each other right now. That is a crazy ass matchup. The fact that the Sixers and the Chicago Bulls can possibly be a first round matchup is just wild to me. And I've said for the longest, hey, don't obsess over standings. And that was when we had 20, 30 games left. Now it's time to really pay attention because 2-game losing streak, a 2-game winning streak by either team or any team can really drastically change the outlook of the Eastern Conference playoffs. And it can make an easier road or a much harder road. Not to mention Brooklyn right now being the 9th seed, who could, like I said, get bounced from the playoffs by losing one game in the play-in tournament. This is great. I've never seen anything like this. When the NBA put together the play-in tournament, this was the type of thing that fans were hoping for. A tournament that mattered, right? Not anything that's just, oh, well, yeah, we get a couple of extra games. We all know how it's going to go. This is a wild scenario. You have teams with superstars in them that could be bounced and not be in playoff contention because of this play-in tournament. Atlanta Hawks still sit at the number 10 seed, which they've been holding on to for a while there. They have quite a bit of an advantage over the next team over them, which are the New York Knicks, who we face tonight. But this Eastern Conference playoffs are going to be a very, very interesting time of year. And I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see how things shake out. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know right now. So the question that's going to be presented here is, with the Bulls' upcoming schedule and what they can do. We've talked about it before. Out of the Bulls' last 8 games, they really could win 5 out of those 8, 6 out of those 8 if they get lucky with a couple times, but they could also lose way more than that because we know this Bulls team, with the way they've been playing, they could lose to anybody as well, just being fair. So we have New York, Washington, Clippers. Then we hit a murderer's row of Miami, Milwaukee, Boston, Charlotte, and then end the season against Minnesota. Listen, I don't know if the Bulls have enough to move up. One thing that I do want to talk about as well is the importance of the home court advantage for the Chicago Bulls if they can get it. The Bulls have been a terrible, let's just be real, a terrible road team over the course of the season. So if the Bulls can get a home court matchup in that first round, it puts them in a better situation. Now, again, does it make things automatically in the favor to get out the first round? No, not at all. But it does give them a better situation in which that they hopefully can take advantage of and maybe steal a game. This is mind blowing to me, right? And I don't use that word lightly. Like the way that this Eastern Conference playoffs is shaping up, it's going to be fun for basketball watchers. For Bulls fans, it remains to be seen how exciting it's going to be for us. But for people who just enjoy the game of basketball, and even casuals, we know casuals show up during the playoffs. They are in line to get a great playoffs this year, and I can't wait to see how everything shakes out. We could really see a world in which the Brooklyn Nets get bounced in the play-in, and the Lakers, who have played terribly this season, win in the play-in tournament and get in the playoffs. Wild times. Well, let's get into the last subject for today. We have the Knicks that we're facing tonight. Game against the Knicks. The Knicks are winners of 3 straight. The Bulls cannot overlook any opponent. Something that I think everybody has realized, even the most optimistic Bulls fan, is that as of right now, the Bulls have to look at every game like a playoff game. They have to come in with playoff level intensity with every single game remaining in this. We'll see if any players get rest. Doesn't look, the only player right now listed on the injury report is Lonzo Ball. So it looks like the Bulls are going for it. They're playing. They know what this means. They're fighting for their postseason lives and to try to make things the best that they can for them, and to also prove to fans, prove to themselves that they are a legitimate contender. And well, not contender. Like let's those times are gone, right? If the Bulls do prove it, if they get on a great playoff run, if everything comes together, so be it. But at this point, we just want to see our Bulls compete in the playoffs and not be an easy out. And so for the Bulls to prove that, to prove to the fans, to prove to themselves, to prove to their opponents, they're going to have to show up and with a playoff intensity and set the tone now for how they're going to play in the playoffs. This Knicks game is not going to be easy. We know how they play. Like I said, they're winners of 3 straight. While they are not the best team in the East by any stretch of the imagination, they are sitting outside of the play-in right now. You don't want to overlook the Knicks and get caught slipping, especially with that murderer's row that we end the season with. Our last 5 games are all hellacious for the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls need to show up tonight. We need to see that intensity that we saw in the first half of the Cleveland game and in the fourth quarter in that Cleveland game when they really tightened up defensively and made some better decisions to help them secure that game. We need to see that from our Chicago Bulls tonight. Now, I said this was the last topic. Let me know how you guys feel about everything down below. What do you think the Bulls, what are some of the key things you're going to be looking in for the Bulls game against the Knicks tonight? Do you think Patrick Williams get the start? Do you think he should get the start? Because Julius Randle is playing tonight. So should Patrick Williams get the start to match that size that the New York Knicks have? Because I'm telling you, I loved what we saw with Io and Caruso both in the starting lineup in that first half against Cleveland. But you don't want to be outsized against a Knicks team that could get on a run, and probably will go on a run at some point during this game. Should Patrick Williams get the start? He's looked pretty good in this minutes. He only played 14 minutes against the Cavs. Now, Billy Donovan did say that was because of matchups more so than him not being ready, but we'll see what happens with the Chicago Bulls team against the New York Knicks. Last, we got a voicemail from Jamal, who always leaves great voicemails. Let's go ahead and get into this voicemail from Jamal.
What's up, Haize? It's your boy Jamal back again with another voicemail. Thank God we got the dub against the Cavaliers. Lord knows I couldn't have taken another L. I couldn't take it. Okay? I would have been up there flipping all types of shit. All right? But we got the W, and that's the most important thing. But I want to let you know, man, I am with you and Pat when I tell you there's definitely a conspiracy against the Chicago Bulls. Okay? I've been thinking about it all season. First we get here with the COVID. Then everybody want to go down with injuries. Okay? You can't tell me this. And then all of a sudden our defense magically stops working. Okay. But more importantly, if last night doesn't show to you that there's a conspiracy against the Bulls, I don't know what will. Let me break it down for you. You see, the league wants the 76ers to play the Brooklyn Nets between that 1 and that 8 seed because that's money, Haize. That's money. And then they would love to have it that what they wanted to do was have us drop down to the 6th seed so the Cavaliers can get in a better position against the 5th seed, so it can be a battle between Giannis Antetokounmpo and Evan Mobley. Those are 2 big power forwards. Come on, it's money, Haize. It's money, man. It's money. That way we can go against Boston, and that way it can be money there. Hey, it's a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy. Other than that, we got the win. Go Bulls.
All right. So one thing that's been updated since Jamal left that is going against Boston. Boston's now the number one team in the East, which is crazy how that's flipped in the last like I said, the last week of the Eastern Conference standings are going to be wild to watch. Now, I love the optimism. You're right. It was good to get the job done against the Cleveland Cavaliers, but this Bulls team can't keep giving up big third quarters or fourth quarters. Like the way that the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers won the second half by double digits when you combine the third and the fourth quarters, but we were still able to do enough to pull out the game. Yes, it's good that we got the win, but it is concerning. We need to see the Bulls tighten up, play a full 48 minutes of basketball in which they bring intensity on both sides of the ball. I want to see that. We need better contributions from Kobe White as well. Kobe needs to find a way to be consistent. And, yes, he's a streaky shooter. He's always going to be that. And he is doing more things than just scoring for us now. But at the same time, Pat from the Windy City Breeze, when we were doing Locked on Bulls, has pointed out that a lot of the times, that was Ricky Fontaine who pointed out when we did the pregame show of how sometimes Kobe's defensive assignments, if you look at the person he's guarding, is the one that gets penetration and puts Vooch in a weird position. So we'll see how that goes. But I really want to see this Bulls team tighten up, play better tonight. But listen, I love the optimism, Jamal. I love hearing from you. Jamal is one of the OGs here as well. So shout out to Jamal for leaving that voicemail. If you guys want to leave a voicemail as well, the number to do so is 773-270-2799. Thank you so much for continuing to support Chicago Bulls Central. You can follow us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. I already plugged the voicemail, but I'm going to do it again. 773-270-2799. See red, don't be red. Go Bulls. We need a win tonight. Get that dub. We will have our pregame, halftime hangouts, and postgame shows all tonight going live. So I hope to see you guys there, but that is it for me for today. I love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.